To start off, this DAC just sounds great from the moment you plug it in and listen to it. It has a very good balanced sound. The Questyle M15i was my favorite DAC.
Hey everyone, this is the Questyle M15i and it's a portable DAC amp and is one of the most recommended portable DAC amps by audiophiles out there. So let's unbox it and take a closer look while I tell you more about it. And before we get started, I do want to mention that this was not sent out to me. I bought this with my own money after hearing great things about it. So it looks like we have a warranty card and then we have a user manual. And now here we can see the M15i. It uses an ESS ES9281AC DAC chipset and supports PCM up to 768 kHz and DSD up to 512. And it uses a proprietary current mode amplifier technology for its headphone amplifier. So one unique thing about the M15i that you can see here is a nice glass window on this side, which allows you to see inside circuitry, which makes this portable DAC really stand out from the others. So let's go ahead and take it out and take a closer look. In the bottom here, we have a short Questyle branded USB-C to USB-C cable. This can be used for connecting your smartphone or laptop and so on. And so the other thing you do get is this USB-C to USB-A adapter, which you can use to go ahead and plug in the included USB-C cable, just like you see here. And then you can go ahead and use this to plug it into your laptop with a USB-A connection, for example. I also wanted to mention that if you do have an older iPhone with a lightning connector, then you can purchase the USB-C to lightning cable, which is sold separately. And now let's take a closer look at the Questyle M15i. The great thing about this DAC amp is that it does support both 3.5mm single-ended as well as 4.4mm fully balanced outputs, as you see right here on the side. And for the input, it's got a single USB-C connection here at the bottom of the DAC. And one thing I love about the M15i is that it doesn't have any complicated settings and doesn't even have a screen. It's just a simple device that sounds great, and the only switch or control on this device is going to be this gain setting, which you can set to standard, also known as low gain, or you can move it to the right and set it to high gain for use with your headphones or IMs that are a little bit harder to drive. So if we go ahead and connect the M15i to a smartphone, you'll see a couple of indicator lights. There's two LEDs on top next to where it says data, and then there's two LEDs where it says gain. For the data indicator light, if a single red light lights up, then the sampling rate is not higher than 48 kilohertz. If you see two LEDs light up, that means that the sampling rate is higher than 48 kilohertz. Now for the gain indicator light, one red light indicates it's running in low gain, while a set of two red lights indicates that it's running in high gain mode. The Questyle M15 also has a low noise floor of negative 130 dB, which provides you with a pure black background so you can listen to your IMs with high sensitivity without hearing any background noise, which is really great. The M15i, as you see here, is super small, meaning you could take this with you anywhere, and it works perfect with both IEMs and full-size headphones. It is also MFI certified, so it will work perfectly for your Apple iOS devices, but it is also compatible with Harmony OS, Android, Mac OS, and Windows. And best of all, for Windows, it works without the need to install a driver to start using it. So I actually sat down and compared the M15i to all the other Questyle models at an audio show recently, and I like the sound of the M15i more than any of the other models, including their higher priced DAC amps. So that's got to tell you that there's something special about this particular DAC amp that audiophiles just love, and now I see it for myself.
At that $200 price range, it comes in as not very expensive, but also not super cheap either. One drawback is that it only has wired connections. It has no Bluetooth connectivity, but does have higher quality DAC chip that's geared toward those audiophile listeners. It does have both a 3.5mm unbalanced connection as well as that 4.4mm Pentagon balanced connection. And one thing I like about this DAC is that it doesn't have a bunch of settings that you have to fiddle with to make it sound great. It just sounds great out of the box, and it only has one slider button that lets you set it to either low gain or high gain. That's it. This device is just very simple to use. The DAC just sounds good as it is. The Questyle M15i is a bit pricier, but it gives you a much richer sound. To start off, this DAC just sounds great from the moment you plug it in and listen to it. It has a very good balanced sound and also looks great with that glass front panel that lets you see inside of the DAC. I used the M15i mostly on the low gain setting, and it was able to drive most IEMs and headphones just fine. I seldom use the high gain setting, so that tells you how much power this DAC has. What I liked about the Questyle M15i is that it has a warm sound signature that's enjoyable to listen to. The sub and mid bass were not as deep sounding, but instead it sounded like a more controlled bass that was just enough to sound pleasant without overdoing it. But if you're looking for a more refined bass, then the M15i does a great job. But I really think that the mid-range is is where this DAC shines. The mid-range sounded clear and articulate, allowing for clear detail retrieval in this frequency range. I think that vocals sounded the best on this DAC versus all the other DAC. The mid-range is rich yet clear, and it sounds oh so good. I really liked how guitars sound on the M15i as well. As for the treble, it sounds nice and airy. It also produces a very crisp and detailed sound without ever sounding harsh or sibilant. I really enjoy both the mid-range and treble on the Questyle M15i, although you do sacrifice a little bit on the sub and mid bass. But overall, I think the M15i produces a very well-rounded, balanced sound. Soundstage is actually pretty good. It doesn't have the widest sounding soundstage, but I would say that the soundstage is right in the middle. It's enough to hear good instrument separation in the music. Imaging is very good, as I was able to perceive the location of various instruments within the soundstage. It really provided for a very immersive sound. I definitely got a sense of layering and separation between the vocals and the different instruments playing to the left and right of me. I really like this DAC. It's simple to use, doesn't have a bunch of settings to fiddle with, and it just sounds good out of the box. Best of all, it's not super expensive, although it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the other DACs have, such as supporting Bluetooth wireless. I just love how this DAC sounds. It's very mid-range centric. The Questyle M15i was my favorite DAC. Everything from the sound to the price was just right. The only one drawback of the M15i is that I wish the sound extended more into the sub bass, because if it did, it'd be the perfect DAC. Well, that does it for my video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.